detective. Thrill me.
Thanks for joining us again. Big week, gentlemen. How have we been?
Yeah, good.
1986's The Fly, which was on Disney Plus. Strange place for it, but
Dude, I paid for it. Shit.
what? You paid for it?
I did.
Christ.
My bad. That's
Yeah,
my
look,
butts.
we've
I'm
all
not
been
saying
there.
Again.
We've all been there.
Well, Adam, I believe you still own Cobra. So,
Yeah, I do.
we have all been there.
At least it's not lost
It's
on
funny you
parking.
bring that up because
At
I
least.
was trawling through what I had on iTunes and up came Cobra, and I was like, where the fuck did I get this? Then I was like, oh, yeah, that's right.
That's right. Yeah. You know, they stick the rent and the buy button so close together, sometimes you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, not my finest hour, but I better watch it again now that I've noticed it's there.
Of course.
All right, let's do a whip round. Maddie, what have you been watching? You guys are on leave, so, you know.
Yeah, not a lot. I haven't watched a lot. I watched Continuing the Watch on Stan. That's a really good watch. That's definitely worth seeing. I'm enjoying it. Matt Berry's popped up as a character as well in there. So I get excited. He does one of those in there. He's playing it pretty straight, and then he starts putting in a few interjections in there. You're just like, that is classic.
Excellent.
But yeah, really enjoying that one. I watched the Ghost Train Exposed doco, which I don't know if you guys have seen, but it was a uncovering. There was a fire in Luna Park. Yeah,
At Luna Park.
It was a massive cover up. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I didn't know anything about it, and they start small and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But yeah, that was definitely worth seeing. That was...
there is another one from that same team on Kelly Lane, which wasn't bad either.
Yeah, just do a really good job of what... I don't know if it's just the editing, but it looks like they're uncovering some secrets, and it definitely tells a story, so that was worth a watch. Other than that, Old People's Home with 4-year-olds. For 4-year-olds, have you seen that?
I have seen that.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
Worth a look.
Definitely worth a look.
Old people are funny. It was good. And I'm not going to say forced, but I've been watching New Girl as well.
I would have said
with the wife. It's that feels like a crap version of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm watching it every time and going, could be watching Always Sunny, because it's the same humour but just not as funny.
If I remember correctly, because we ended up watching some of that when it first came out, which I think would have been what?
2011.
Yeah, a long time ago. And after about a season, I think it just, I mean...
If it gets worse than this...
Jared, I think we might have mentioned this in a previous podcast when we were talking about Boyle out of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and that shows the same, that she's the main girl's the quirky character, and she just becomes a fucking pain in the ass.
Well, it just feels like they're always trying to bail her out of a situation, and you're just like... it's not really that entertaining, but it's all right. It's not too bad. It's got some good laughs in there. It was weird. The weird thing about it starts off with one of the Wayans brothers in the first episode.
Yeah.
And then he disappears.
He got a better gig, mate.
Did he? Is that what happened?
Yeah, he got another job and bailed on it. So
good on him. He was definitely doing a better job than the bloke they got him afterwards.
I think he ends up coming back.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Stay tuned.
I'm not that invested, so
yeah.
If I never see it again, it's okay.
What else did you have, mate? Anything else?
No, that's it. That's the gist of it. There's probably other things, but nothing that's sticking out.
No Bachelor?
No, I'm sorry.
No.
Maths?
No maths.
You didn't even get on maths.
I'll have to get onto some new. I need some more reality.
I haven't watched any of it, but I believe the bloke from Canberra has made a real tit of himself. I'm here for that. I could watch it if that's what's going on.
There was a mention of him playing in the basketball competition celebrity game that we're trying to organise, and then everyone's just going, "Nah, he's too much of a dickhead." he's good.
Yeah, good call. Very good call.
I think he's moved to Melbourne as well.
Oh, God. Yeah, well, he's trying
well, I'm sure his career will be absolutely taking off after this.
Yeah, well, he's trying to maximise
what did he
his
do?
15 minutes
I don't
of
even
fame.
know what he did. I haven't seen it.
Well,
he's just a cock, or...
supposedly there's a bit of that, but also that he had a bird on the outside who he basically just said, "Yeah, I'll give you a buzz when I finish on this." To sort of basically, so he's gone on the whole show to raise his profile, which is basically everybody on the show.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know how you can still go on this and think this is going to be good for my career, and then you are that guy.
Yeah.
Is he the
that's
one
not good
that
for your career.
that played AFL, or almost played AFL?
I don't know. He's a radio DJ or something.
Okay, one of them I think almost played AFL, and he comes up as being the biggest asshole in the world according to anything on the news.
Yeah, well, might be the same bloke. Who knows?
All right, what about you, Jared? What do you have?
So I got a couple of things in. So I've smashed through almost the entire run of Blackadder.
Yes.
Yeah, really enjoying that. And funnily enough, my son kind of wandered in and now thinks Baldrick is the funniest thing he's ever seen in his life.
He was the best of River Kids, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was in absolute stitches when they showed that little clip in the Blackadder Christmas Carol where they showed the future and in comes Baldrick dressed like Sean Connery out of Zardoz or whatever it is in the fucking leather speedos. And yeah, my son was laughing for like 10 minutes straight just at that. I too was in hysterics.
I like it.
Yeah, it's funny because I'd always been a bit of a Rowan Atkinson fan, but never jumped into that. But yeah, absolute classic stuff.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
And Brian Blessed, come on.
Brian Blessed, that's right. I mean, the bloke does not have another gear. It's on or off. It's Brian Blessed. It's bellowing and carrying on.
It's fucking foot to the floor or stand on the brakes.
That's it, pretty much. Yeah, he's either out of the saddle or he's not moving, basically. Like, it's just...
They had so many good actors in that.
Yeah, I love how they all come back in different roles too. Like, there's the core group that kind of move around a bit, but a few of them change roles and in and out. And I had a handful of trips to the cinema as well. The worst one was Tom and Jerry. I was,
my kid walked out of that. First movie he'd ever been to. Got bored halfway through, and then he was like, "I'm done."
Yeah. Yep. Well, he knows where it's at. And Godzilla vs Kong.
Yep.
I checked that out.
Any good?
Yeah, I liked it. Look, it's stupid. It's a bit stupid, but I mean, you know that going in, you knew exactly what you were there for, and when the brawling through the cities is going on, some of it's just fucking spectacular. So that's what I was there for. I wasn't there for the grand sort of acting performances or character development or anything like that. But they have a crew of decent actors, but the storyline to get them together is just silly. It's very, very silly. But as I said to you, Adam, the logic and the sense in getting them together is basically like a city that the two of them are trampling through. It's just fucking just a wreck. But when they get together, it's good fun. If they throw down, that's what you're there for. So I enjoyed it. I had a really good time. And the other one was Nobody, Adam, which I believe you also saw. Yeah, had a good time with it. The situation that plays out is pretty run of the mill, but it was good fun to see. Bob. What is it? Bob Odenkirk. In that kind of role, and having a bit of fun with it. And I mean the brawl on the bus where he kicks the shit out of Daniel Bernhardt and Alain Moussi and all these veteran kind of martial arts actors / stuntmen. It's fucking awesome. I absolutely love that. And he's just got the demeanour that you kind of still bought it. Like he's a good actor and he has that demeanour. It's kind of like Saul Goodman but with the edge of a real hard ass. There's a couple of scenes where he plays it out and he's just got to do a bit of talking. And you're looking at him and you can see, he fits that Mr. Nobody kind of situation perfectly. But when he starts talking the talk, you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. He might be able to back that up. So,
this day and age, it's a bit more believable. Anyone can know martial arts.
That's right.
Anyone can kick your ass.
But yeah, some of the scenes where he's just cutting a swath is fucking awesome. And that was where the fun was. So yeah, I would check that out. If you obviously there's not a hell of a lot going on the action front in the cinemas at the moment. So yeah. So that was me, Adam. Probably a good segue. You can get your thoughts in on that one.
Yes. Look, I enjoyed it. It obviously reeked a little bit of John Wick. No surprise, it's written by the same bloke. and it perhaps wasn't on that level, but I, like you, the fight in the bus was just piss funny, especially considering he gets chucked out the window and then
yeah. Well, that was the difference, right? That was the. I agree. There was definitely shades of John Wick, but yeah, that first one there where he kind of unloads for the first time in a while, he gets the shit kicked out of him. The bit where he kind of goes through the window is excellent because you see him fucking brushing himself off and coming back in the door, and they're all sitting there kind of going, oh, licking their wounds, and then they see him walk back in the door, and all four of them are like, oh, fuck. It's just, yeah, it was really cool. I liked it.
Yeah, look, I enjoyed it. I thought it was definitely worth a viewing. I tell you what, I jumped on, and I'd forgotten how good this was. I watched Pain and Gain. I don't know why. I was just sitting there on the DVD shelf, and I was like, I haven't seen this in a while. I fucking loved it. It's really good.
It's the Michael Bay one where he took that true story of these people that committed a fucking abduction, basically, but they were just bozos. And he turned it into a bit of a comedy, so it's like Mark Wahlberg and The Rock, and yeah, it's good stuff.
It has some absolutely hilarious moments, and I forgot one particular sequence where Mark Wahlberg's working neighbourhood watch, and he's then teaching the kids how to play basketball, and he's dunking on them and talking trash. Yeah. And then at the end of all that, he's sitting there and he's going, he's giving them a little pep talk about how they can all be, all be ladies' men and all this sort of shit. Then he goes, points to the 5 fat kids and goes, you, and you, jogging home. Jesus. And The Rock is really good. His performance is actually really good.
Yeah, because he starts getting on the drugs and stuff, and then doesn't he start kind of getting a little bit religious and shit?
Yeah, he gets religious and he's on the coke, and then there's a scene where they're doing the neighbourhood watch and he's fucking coked to the eyeballs. He keeps interrupting and all this, talking about how, people are going to get attacked and all this. It was just very amusing because that was about the point where he started, we were still sort of trying to find out if he had any chops outside of sort of action films. And he showcases quite a bit. You still think he's not as well-rounded as, was it Batista?
Batista.
Speaking of Batista, I watched Stuber.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Look, you're laughing. That's positive.
Look, I laughed. Anything where a massive hulking guy runs into things, I seem to find that amusing.
Oh, mate, that opening sequence where he's trying to drive while his vision is impaired, I was in stitches. Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly Blackadder, but it was good enough for me.
And he's screaming there going, get out of the way. There's no one there, and he drives into a hole. I mean, I don't know. It sounds bloody ridiculous, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And it was interesting too because I didn't realise Mira Sorvino was in it. And I was like, shit, we haven't seen her for ages. And then, of course, I then racked my brain and realised she'd been blacklisted, I believe.
Yeah.
During the Harvey Weinstein era.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? It's actually really good to see her. And she actually is a pretty good actress. She really got screwed. I then watched Searching on Netflix.
What's that one?
It's one with the guy from Harold and Kumar, John Cho.
Yeah.
And it's basically all done on the computer screen. His daughter goes missing, and then he starts trying to find out where she might have been, who she may have been in contact with, and going through her social media and all this sort of stuff to find her. And he connects with a detective on the case, which is Deborah Messing. And it's all done over FaceTime and all that. It's kind of a little bit like something like, what was that horror one? Unfriended.
Unfriended, Host, and
And it was really good for the most part. The kind of the sort of the finale and the answers to everything are just a little bit disappointing. But overall, I thought it was really well handled, and John Cho is excellent because he spends the whole time basically on screen. So definitely worth a look. It's on Netflix. I watched Cobra Kai season 1.
Yes.
And got started up season 2. Really enjoying it. I really like what they've done with it. I think it's a really interesting kind of... I think you put it, Jared, as kind of like recontextualising the whole original series of films. And I like that. I think that's really good. And I think playing it from Johnny's angle is a great way to look at it.
Yeah, well, I just love the way that Danny LaRusso was the same person.
Yeah.
But when they show it from this angle, he looks like a real dickhead.
Yeah.
They just both look like dickheads.
Yeah, well, that's it. I like the way, they kind of give everyone their moments of... They kind of look at it and say, well, if you look at it from this angle, it looks totally different. But then they also show, well, Johnny's a bit of a ball bag as well. And as they go on, you realise there's not really good guys and bad guys. There's parts of it that are like... It's like the WWE, where there'll just be a heel turn and something will just happen and you're like, oh, fuck, that was one of my favourite good guys and now we're supposed to not like him, and you just get this sense that, all right, everyone's got their flaws and everyone's...
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fucking great fun. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, and I agree with the fact that you're not sure who to root for because they're showing kind of both sides of the coin, and whether you already know the kids who are in Cobra Kai, but you also know the Johnny's son who's now with Daniel and all that sort of stuff. So that they're spending time with everyone, and I think that's a good way to do it. There is no kind of good and bad, as you said.
That's a dog move, though. That is a dog move. Though.
Yeah.
Train my enemy's son.
Yeah, true.
Cold-blooded.
Well, I actually thought that initially his daughter might go over to Cobra Kai, but
yeah, because
initially, she had that friend of hers went over there, and obviously she was dating Miguel, and I thought that's what was going to happen. It was going to be, kind of like at odds with each other because both parties were training their kids. But that didn't happen. But otherwise, I think it's fantastic. I finally finished Outer Banks.
Stuck with it?
I stuck with it, but only because Netflix kept emailing me saying, have you finished with this? I was like, oh shit, I better get on it.
Didn't have the heart to reply.
They shaved you into it.
Look, yeah, they shaved me into it. Look, it wasn't too bad, but I pointed out initially, all this kind of cut rate drama shit, it bogged it down, and it's another... I think problem with Netflix, and I think we talked about this last episode, it didn't have 10 episodes in it. But I think Netflix is paying people we need 10 episodes worth of content from you. And it's not a 10 episode show. I mean, at best it was a 6. So
I don't even mind a 6 episode show.
I'll take 6.
No.
If it's a quality 6.
Yeah, that's right.
But it was full of bloat, and then by the end of it, I mean, one guy is wanted for murder, and these dickheads are driving around in a fucking 4-wheel drive right in the public, and all he's doing is he's just got his seat sort of wound back. And I'm like, yeah, of course someone's going to see you ballsack. Honestly. Jared,
yes.
I watched Walker episode 7.
Oh, I haven't got there yet. Oh, no, I have, actually.
Yeah, you're on ahead.
Absolutely nothing happened in that episode.
No, absolutely nothing happened. No.
I was like, oh my God, what's going on?
There was a bit of soccer or something, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was something involving soccer.
Let's get rid of the soccer.
Yeah,
we don't need any soccer. Right?
We sort of kept moving forward with the twist that they'd taken. Both parties, remember the brother and the chief, the police chief went to Mexico.
Yeah, which is where it needs to be, I think.
Take it to Mexico, you think?
No. Well, that's what we're there for.
We can read over Acapulco Heat or something.
I'm not there for the. I'm not there for the soccer game. I mean, it was an episode where I'm like, the main plot. I'm sitting there going, oh fuck. And whenever the subplot came up, I'm like, right, this is what we're here for. Yeah, and that's a bit of an issue.
Yeah, that's a big issue. And also, I'm sort of Stan doesn't. Well, I don't know if this is the CW, whoever owns it or whatever, but there seems to be breaks between episodes now.
No, that's CW. Well, they still do it with their superhero shows too, mid-season finales, and it's not a fucking mid-season finale. It's a season or it's not a fucking season. Like, just tell us. Is it a season or is it half a season? We don't need a mid-season finale. just continue to punch through an episode a week and dispense with the bullshit.
End of season beginning? What's going on?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's season 1.5 or I don't know what the fuck's going on.
listen.
But then, yeah, they did the mid-season break and then we had a fucking 2-week hiatus or something.
I know. Walker, you have not got the luxury of taking breaks. People are dropping off in droves.
I haven't been reeled into the shore yet. I'm still on the line. So these mid-season hiatuses are giving me the chance to fucking reef myself off the hook and watch something else.
Look, episode 8 is out, so look, I'm still there. I'm still in.
You just talked me out of it.
I'm getting pretty tired of this mid-season bullshit.
Yeah, I'm tired of it. I'm fucking sick to death of it.
Okay, the last two things, I actually read a couple of scripts. I read one that was written in 1984 by Shane Black and Fred Decker called Shadow Company. And the version that they've leaked online was from 1988, and it was actually to be directed by John Carpenter, and it was produced by Walter Hill. And I'm thinking to myself, how the fuck did this not get made? I mean, 88, these guys were hot.
Yeah, shit, yeah.
And they said it came close, but then fell apart. And basically, it reads very much like Universal Soldier.
Right.
But 10 times better. It's a really good script. Not quite at the level of some of their best work in terms of snappy dialogue, but the ideas are great. And it would have made for a really good movie, I think, especially with someone like Carpenter behind it. Because it's kind of horror mixed with action, and I think he could have done something good with that. And from what I read, he was coming off They Live and Big Trouble in Little China. And that's why things had cooled a touch.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worth a read. The other one,
which is crazy because They Live is the more I watch They Live, the more I like it. It's excellent.
Big Trouble in Little China, obviously, is
the best.
Yeah, so there you go. I don't know.
The other one I read was I finally found the original version of the Predator script.
Mm-hmm.
And look, it is not their best work. I'll be honest, but it is 10 times better than what was put on screen.
Right.
It actually makes sense.
Well, that's a start.
I mean, you can kind of see what went wrong. They removed this whole thing at the end where it turns out that a couple of predators had landed on Earth and had actually become, I guess you'd call it like liaison or whatever, with the military.
Yeah,
knowing that,
and I'm assuming they're the
them.
ones. I'm assuming they're the ones where we got the shots of them in the tank and stuff.
And then when they decided to cut that out, they then had to go backwards and cut out all the stuff that had sort of found, was in the script earlier, that would have brought us to that place. And of course, that then opens up all these holes. So if you watch the movie, you start wondering, well, how did they get here? How did they commandeer this vehicle? It's all been cut out. But in the script, it tells you how that all happened.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that Shane Black has kind of come out and said, oh, look, I thought what we originally shot wasn't that good. But I reckon he's just minded his P's and Q's.
Telling the company line.
Surely he's got to be coming out and saying, you paid us to put this together and then you didn't like it and you chopped the shit out of it. And 20th Century Fox was had a real bad fucking reputation for this around that time. Because they ripped the guts out of Fantastic Four, I believe.
Yeah, well, I think that was another one where I think Josh Trank would like us to believe that they'd ripped the guts out of it, but I think the guts were pretty rotten anyway.
Pretty bad. So. And they also tore apart that other one, the X-Men one. The New Mutants.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that also might have had similar problems. It wasn't a very good idea.
Yeah, that was another prime example, because I think what they did with that one was after it was shot, they advised him to go back and reshoot it to make it less dark, but then got feedback that it should have been darker or whatever, so tried to re-put some of the shit that they'd taken out back in. Like, it's just, if you believe in the vision, you just fucking stick to it, right? Well, that's why Jason Blum, for good and bad, does that, and we've had a couple of real gems because of it. had a couple of stinkers as well, but he backs a vision, right?
But I guess for him, he's not paying top dollar. You know, all of those films I mentioned were highly budgeted films.
But you only pay top dollar because you said we'll pay top dollar.
I know,
we'll pay you
I
this
know.
much money.
I know, but
like,
my thing
don't
is...
do that without having faith in the fucking product.
Well, this is it for me, is you hired people to write the script. You saw the script before they started shooting the film. If there were problems, iron them out before it starts.
So this is, again, like we've spoken about before, Blum puts a film together and doesn't think about where it's going to be released or whatever until he sees it.
Side of things.
Yeah, until he sees the fucking product, and then he says, right, well, we'll decide whether this is going to cinemas or we're going to sell it to Netflix or whatever. I know you need to lock in a few things and lock in a schedule, but if you've locked in the Fantastic Four and the script you get is something that you've got no faith in whatsoever, you put a message out and say this has got to be fucking put back 6 months.
Yeah.
Because we're behind schedule. You don't think, fuck, we've got to rush this ahead because we've got, this... I just don't... I don't know.
The conversation might be, though, whatever we put out, people are going to go see it.
Yeah. But then, with the Fantastic Four, I mean, you fucking destroyed the company and now Disney owns it.
Yeah.
So, maybe the conversation needs to shift a little bit in that regard. Like, they're sitting there going, this is what we've got left of, the Marvel properties that we have the rights to. You got to make it work, and they fucked it up.
And look, with regards to the Predator, it wasn't destined to be a hit, right? I can kind of see how a New Mutants or a Fantastic Four, they just go, oh look, whip it together, put it out, people will watch it because it's a known superhero property, right?
Yeah, they didn't. New Mutants got delayed by fucking a year or two.
I didn't know. I wasn't aware of that one, but Fantastic Four, I believe they hit their release date, didn't they? And no one was interested.
They released Fantastic Four, but they shelved New Mutants for a while.
The Predator was obviously not made a ton of money.
Yeah.
But the script had interesting ideas. The whole idea that the Predator was on the planet looking to assimilate with the best warrior, right? And take pieces of that warrior. That's what they've been doing, right? Mm-hmm. And the idea that the little boy was the warrior they were after because of his autism and everything. That was interesting shit. And the idea that the Predators had landed on Earth and were actually trying to tell the military, this thing is coming for us. Mm. This other Predator that actually had human DNA in it.
Yeah.
That stuff was interesting stuff. As I said, it's not his best written script.
Yeah, well, in the end result, that was super clumsy, the whole the father-son stuff.
Yeah.
And was telegraphed from very early on.
And it ends with the ending that has Arnie.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
Yep.
But once again, and look, I'm not knocking Arnie because he didn't want to be in it. But, I mean, fuck.
But there was a number of... There was a couple of options you could have gone for.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'd have been happy enough if you pulled someone else out. You fucking whipped Danny Glover out of mothballs. I'd have been all right with that.
So, my thinking is, you hired a bloke who you had tons of faith in. He wrote a script that was not bad. And then you get cold feet. I don't understand why you get cold feet, and then you just cobble together this pile of shit, basically.
Yeah.
Because the movie it's a pile of shit. Like, for its first hour is actually not bad because that's the stuff they didn't chop up. But the end of it is just a shambles, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And I have not seen it since. So it was really interesting to read because it's just interesting to hear the vision from how it was intended.
Yeah.
And it kind of made a lot more sense.
Funny that you mentioned that you did a bit of reading, Adam, because I finally knocked over...
You don't think I can read?
I finally knocked over a book by Stephen King that I've been meaning to read for a while. You know, support your struggling artists, everyone. I finally knocked over Joyland.
Yeah.
So if you haven't got onto that, check it out. fairly breezy. I think it's about 300 pages, but it fits right in with something like Stand By Me. It's like you look at Stand By Me and it's, childhood and then thinking back when he's 40, 50 odd.
Yeah.
This one kind of is thinking back to his early 20s where he kind of takes a bit of a break from university.
Yeah.
And reflecting back on it as a 60-year-old. But yeah, definitely check it out. King has done some really solid work in the last 10 odd years.
I started Firestarter for the third time. I started it, I keep putting it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to support your struggling artists, as Jared just said.
That's right.
The poor bloke can't catch a break.
Yep.
I picked up a couple of his TV series to watch. I picked up Castle Rock Season 2 and The Outsider.
Yep. Yes, get on it. I love The Outsider.
Yeah. So I'll give them a go. And I've got Mr. Mercedes Season 2 there as well. So, look, I'm helping Stephen. I'm keeping food on the table at his place.
Just out of the goodness of my heart, not because
Exactly.
I look at it and I think, here's another middling effort from King, but he needs the support. So
look, if he was a bum sitting out on the street, I'd drop $1 into his little cup.
Yeah, well, he's close, Adam. If you don't keep watching those things, he'll be on the breadline soon. So just keep it up.
Exactly. All right, that was everything for me. Let's take a break, and here is the trailer for 1986's The Fly.
Dr. Seth Brundle's brilliant invention goes horribly wrong, and two beings merge into one. The Fly, rated R, starts Friday, August 15th at theaters everywhere.
The Fly from 1986, directed by David Cronenberg, who directed A History of Violence, produced by Stuart Kornfeld, who produced Tropic Thunder, and uncredited producing by Mel Brooks, who produced Robin Hood, Men in Tights. Strange producing credit. It's written by Cronenberg, Charles Edward Pogue, who wrote Psycho 3, and it's based on the short story by George Langeland. It stars Jeff Goldblum as Seth Brundle, Geena Davis as Veronica Quaife, and John Getz as Stathis Borans. The budget was $15 million, and the box office was $60 million worldwide. It was actually originally a project for Tim Burton to direct, which would have been very interesting and quite different, I suggest. Jared, your thoughts on The Fly?
It's an interesting little piece of work. I like the way that it's kept very sort of personal and close between the characters. It's really, you only see a handful of them on screen for any significant length of time, which is it works really well to sort of develop the relationships between them and give it some time to breathe and some time to develop arcs. When the shit starts to go down, I mean, it's fucking gross to look at sometimes, which is very effective. It's very effective for what we're going for and what people's readings of the films are and that sort of thing. So I'm going to go with a 3.5, or as I like to call it now, a snake eyes.
Jesus. Okay, you're giving Snake Eyes 3.5, Matty. You're giving this 5.
You guys need to relax a bit more and enjoy your movies. Snake Eyes was alright.
Yeah.
I prefer Fly's eyes.
Yeah, look, we'll agree to disagree on that one. Matty, what's your take on The Fly?
Look, this is probably one of the first horror movies I saw as a kid, and I wish I could see it again with fresh eyes. Like, you know what's going to happen, but and I think that they shock you in a couple of bits, but you sort of know it's coming. Like, you're waiting for it to happen when you're watching it retrospectively. But the performances are sort of a little bit mixed in places. The concept is incredible, and a lot of fun to play with. Like you were saying, I'm watching it going, you could make this into a play. Like there's basically 4 characters in the thing, and one of them's not really very significant. So but I enjoy it. It's fun. And Goldblum's off the chain. So imagine Nicolas Cage playing that role. But so
This is the Fly.
Oh, fuck. Don't.
So yeah,
Please don't.
there's bits where it falls away. Mainly the end section, but which is a sad place for it to fall away in. So I set on a 3 on this one.
A 3. Snake Eyes is better than this. Fucking hell.
I just got disappointed by the end. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I guess Snake Eyes did as well.
From minute 1.
I had really low expectations for Snake Eyes. I'm just...
All right.
I love it.
Okay. I really enjoyed this. I think it's one of the better horror remakes. Goldblum is really, really good. This is the kind of role fit for him. You know, that kind of, because he's a science guy, a little bit nerdy, a little bit strange. He's got the tics and everything like that. But he's a solid enough actor. And him and Geena Davis, I think, were married at that stage. Maybe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's some chemistry between them that works.
At times.
Well, it's not Jared Padalecki and his wife. It's better than that.
Oh, God, no. That you can set fire to a house for that. Yeah, especially when nothing's happening in the episode. Shit.
That's right.
Oh, honestly, sorry to backtrack, but I'd like to see an 85-year-old Chuck Norris.
His cameo's got to be coming up. They're going to get desperate and they're going to ask him to cameo. It has to happen.
Oh, but I think it's a really solid film. It has moments that, yes, are very gross. I do think that, personally, it's a movie that could have done with a little extra time. And I don't say that often. I like my movies lean and mean, but it could have done with an extra 10 or 15 minutes to solidify some of those relationships, because things are a tad quick in a sense of the relationship between them. They do a
Did
good
you
enough...
see the deleted scene?
No.
Which one? The cat?
The cat.
I haven't seen it. I've heard about it, but I haven't watched it.
Yeah, he splices a cat with a
baboon.
Yeah, the baboon, and it comes out as like a cat baboon, and then he beats the shit out of it with a
That's
pole,
right.
Yeah.
with a pipe.
They had
and,
to take it out because they were worried that it would have made him...
It made him look like a villain.
Yeah.
Basically just said
Sympathetic.
that any of the sympathy that they were trying to develop just went
Kids
out
and
the window
animals.
as soon as they did
Yeah,
that.
kids and animals, they said.
Yeah, I could have done with a little extra material, which, you know,
Did you read that the baboons were a little bit
fiery.
They said they were a bit fiery, and Cronenberg was saying I was a little bit worried because they are wild animals and whatever, but because Goldblum's a tall, very tall bloke, and he was muscly at the time, whatever, he reckons that they kind of ceded to him.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And they were okay with him, and that Goldblum was helping the fucking animal wrangler keep him in check.
He does have a lot of charisma.
Well, look, yeah, he is a big dude, so you can kind of see how that might happen. I gave it 4.
Was he in Ripping Nick, Adam?
4.
Well, he's in Ripping Goldblum, Nick. I mean, I wouldn't have said he didn't impress me like, say, a Frank Grillo in Boss Level.
Okay, yeah, fair
That's
enough.
sort of ripping.
Or an Adrian Brody in Predators.
No, that's correct.
Sort of,
That's ripping.
that kind of rig.
Yeah, that kind of rig. Yeah, similar to mine.
yeah, that's right. That's exactly what I think of when you take your shirt off and think, shit, Adrian Brody in Predators. I take mine off and you think, shit, Danny Trejo in Predators. Actually, no, you don't, because Danny Trejo's still got a better rig than I do. So.
No, my first thought is, sure, he's wearing a sweater. Okay, look, I gave it 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was... I mean, I agree in some respects, Matty, that the ending does kind of... isn't quite as strong as the earlier part.
Yeah.
But I actually think that when it gets right down to it, right at the end, and I'll get to it in my likes, is it actually comes across quite sad.
Yeah, it does,
the
very
end.
much so.
And I think that's a fantastic thing in a horror film. A gross horror film like this, you know, made by a guy who sort of revelled in sort of body horror his whole career at that stage. It kind of it's got some pathos, I think is fair to say.
Yeah, I think for me it was similar to what Maddie said. It was the knowing what was coming along. Like on the rewatch, some of those things didn't quite hold the impact because I'd only watched it in the last probably 18 months, 2 years, something like that. So yeah, that's where it kind of dropped off a little bit towards the end for me too. But I don't think I can disagree with much that you're saying there, Adam.
Yeah, I know. Look, it's a fine line for me, especially between a star, between a star. But I guess we'll talk about it later. But I got sort of hung up on some of the special effects, and then the plot went to a stupid place. I think as soon as they took it away from the interaction between the people, and he left where he was, I felt like I didn't quite fit in with what had been going on previously.
Have you seen any other Cronenberg?
What is he? Scanners? What is it?
Yeah, Scanners.
Yeah,
I've seen that one.
So I'll tell you a little story. When I can't remember how old I was. Adam and I were at the video store, and Adam's come out with, oh shit, Videodrome. I haven't seen this in a while. You should check it out. And I think I was about 16. And we started watching Videodrome.
Jesus.
And I'm sitting there going, what the fuck is this?
That's right.
He's going
fucking
on.
flesh guns and all sorts of stupid
I think Adam was too. I think we got to the point where videotapes were going in bodies, and I'm like, what are you watching here? And then, so yeah, I can't say I've treated Cronenberg much like you've treated Denzel Washington, Matty. I've sort of just a passing glance here and there. So it's kind of I think it's probably high time that I went back and had a look at a bit more of his work, because after looking at The Fly, I was I was pretty high on it last time. Again, I was high on it this time, but probably not as much. But I'm definitely keen to check out what else he's got to offer.
From what I've heard, a lot of his newer films, you know, he's gone away from that sort of stuff he was doing back in the early days, which was the body horror sort of stuff. And he's gone to things like, you know, History of Violence or Eastern Promises and stuff like that.
Jason X cameos.
The best thing he's done. But, I mean, side note, when me and my wife first started dating, guess which movie I took her to? First movie out.
Jason X.
History of Violence. Jesus Christ.
I can beat that.
Oh, mate.
You're
a maestro, aren't you?
Ooh, the romance involved in such a film.
I went on a first date to Little Children. Didn't know what it was about. I was like, it's got Kate Winslet in it.
Is that the
it's
one
gonna
with,
be all right. And there's like 2 furious masturbation scenes in it, and a pedophile. I fucked that up. I didn't go on a second date. I was too embarrassed to call back. I saw her and she was like, "Why didn't you call me back?" I was like, "I thought it was over after that."
Outstanding.
Didn't get a kiss goodbye. I was like, "Oh, that's
tell you what, Matty, you should have.
That was horrible for my confidence."
You should have taken it to a Denzel Washington movie. That's the move, right?
Yeah.
That was probably the other option.
Exactly, mate. His movies have only got one furious masturbation in them.
One of them, the guy's finished the first date, and he's got a pair of underwear on his head, I think, and he's. Anyway,
what are we doing here?
This is my life. Next time, do some more research. Did not marry her.
She didn't marry you.
Turned out all right. It's all good.
This was your wife? Was it?
No.
Christ.
No. I learned from that mistake. I'll put a bit more thought into it the next time.
Yeah, clear ahead.
I was like, I'm pretty. It would have been like a Pride and Prejudice or something safe. Something safe for the next time.
That's excellent. That's possibly the best thing you've ever done.
We've gotten off track. Shit. Focus. Damn it. All right, look, the likes.
I can finally understand why you gave Snake Eyes 3.5.
That's the only other movie I've seen before
Yeah, that's
that.
that's considered a
On a
safe
first
film.
date.
Jesus.
Speed 2 was the second film I'd seen, and then Snake Eyes.
Right. All right.
Oh, wow.
I think Jeff Goldblum and Geena Davis both give really, really solid performances here. Oh, shit.
I thought you were going to say they both furiously busted up.
Stop it.
I'm sorry.
Come
I'm
on,
sorry.
get serious, get professional.
That vomit looked like he'd masturbated out of his mouth.
Oh, come
Yeah.
Chad's crying,
Steady.
just so you're aware.
Okay. Like, I think you hit the nail on the head, Matty, that their relationship is key here because the film spends, and I mean, Jared, you pointed it out as well, it spends time with those characters, but only in, like, there's not mass scenes of, heaps of characters together. It's only just like ones and twos. And so you really need to sell the character development between those two.
Yeah.
And I think they do a really good job of that. Goldblum, as I said, this is the perfect sort of role for him. His eccentricities are exactly what you wanted.
Yeah.
For this
Such
character.
such a strange cat, but he's so watchable.
He plays
Yeah.
Asperger's really well.
I've got to be honest with you. My personal favourite bit's when he's rocking around his tidy whities, and then she says something about not wanting to get in the pod, and he just fucking blows his stack.
Yeah.
He's like, "You're no fucking fun," and he starts blowing up. I'm just like,
He loses
"Jesus,
it.
where did this come from?"
Yeah. His character development's pretty solid through this. Like you can just see he goes from being the scientist. It's a bit weird how he's like, I can't tell anybody but you about this. But he's just trying to, that's his weird seduction technique.
Yep.
But then you see how he goes from that, he's playing the piano, you can see he's a bit weird, but it's charming.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he trusts her to be the fly on the wall and document his story, talks her into it. And he's like, he's not confident at that point. He's like, just take as much as you can stand of me, and then disappear.
Yeah.
And then definitely there's a massive switch after he's gone through the pod, and they do a good job of that.
Yeah. And they take a little bit of time to establish that there's definitely something wrong with him, but it's a strangely kind of intriguing initially. He's got tons of energy, and his strength is out of this world, and he's talking a mile a minute and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then it starts to segue into something not right,
Yeah. I liked watching it as well. You'd pick up things and you'd be like, that's a bit weird, like his clothes. That's a bit weird, he's wearing that again.
Yeah.
And then she starts asking him about it, and there's an explanation.
Yeah.
That he's trying to be like Einstein and save time. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool that they've put those things in there. It made it a very watchable experience.
Yeah. I do like the fact that you I mean, maybe you could have taken some notes on seduction, mate. Your version was to take a girl to a movie that had furious masturbation in it. I mean, perhaps take some notes from Jeff Goldblum in the future.
Yeah, just build yourself a teleporter.
A teleporter and learn the piano.
Yeah, that's right. I thought, he absolutely cracked it out on the piano when she got back there. Yeah, I think it's. I liked all that though because we knew he was a little bit odd. He was a little bit different, and it's sort of like you said. We get the time to see those little things. Like there's nothing. He just goes in and he just jumps on the piano and starts going off, and you just kind of like, all right. But it does act. It's those little moments, and like you said, the stuff about the Einstein thing, and
there's even
the
the exposition isn't right at the beginning. Like they could have easily just given him an award for his amazing work, and then all of a sudden that he's a good scientist.
Yeah,
but they wait until in the middle of it. I've done my research on him. I know that he's a good scientist, and he's like 20-year-old. Savant and all this stuff. So
yeah, that's right. The start it's absolutely just flies straight into it.
Yeah.
And I really like that it didn't bother with any of that sort of bullshit. Although it does bring up a few questions about how she ended up in conversation with him and he just dropped, well, I've got the best machine. I've got the best ideas and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked that it just dispensed with all that shit and just spent the time with them.
Yeah.
Well, the opening 5 minutes, we've met the two characters, we've seen the telepods, and we've seen how they operate. Within the first 5 minutes, we kind of have the basics of where we're going with that.
And we've got the fundamental stepping stones of the beginning of a romance as well, which is
correct.
I guess this is a romantic movie to some extent. It just goes horribly wrong.
Haywire, yep.
Because they're a nice couple. They get along. She gains confidence along the way.
Yeah.
He gains confidence along the way. They are sort of complimenting each other, and then the change happens.
Well, that's the thing too, is because they've spent that time, you still care for Seth, even though he's doing these horrible things at the end.
Yeah.
Towards the end, he's starting to become like a megalomaniac and fucking desperate to kind of get her to go into the pod, but you still care about him.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. You have to care about him.
Yeah. And I think the relationship there, there's moments, there's glimpses of of him coming back to being that romantic. You need to leave because if you don't, I'm going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Or like he comes back to being the old Seth at times.
Yeah, that's true.
And I actually liked that it went through that process of, showing him when his ego is sort of unchecked. He's exposed to his own brilliance, I guess, and he starts fucking losing control there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Which actually, as you said, it sort of adds to a tragic element towards the end.
Yes.
Because in the start of the movie, you got that sense of that they were a good couple. They were falling in love.
Yeah.
And then it sort of goes through these swings and roundabouts where he treats her like shit, but then comes back to it, and you're kind of sitting there going, "Oh, what could have been?"
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it just looks
pretty well.
It looks like an abusive relationship or someone's on drugs or something like that.
Yeah.
It looks familiar.
It's interesting you
mentioned
mentioned
like you've ever seen.
You mentioned the abusive relationship because I kind of got a sense that was also the case with the other bloke.
Yeah.
He had a controlling sort of relationship on her, but then he kind of comes to the fore at the end.
Yeah.
You know, which I thought was interesting to kind of twist it on its head a little bit.
I think the read on it that most people have is, and I think Cronenberg has said this himself, that it's a story about degenerative diseases or terminal diseases and things like that.
Old age, yeah.
Yeah, and you see, we've had, people in our lives go through stuff like that. And there is an element of not necessarily the ego, but where shit's fallen apart, where they do kind of act like in ways that you haven't seen before, like lose temper or something like that. So it's interesting to see it from those perspectives when you've got that sort of read on it.
Yeah. And look, that's interesting stuff, and I think Cronenberg directs the film really well. His cold sort of clinical style at that point in his career, it really works for this.
Yeah.
Yet he kind of infuses it with as I said, there's a sadness, there's pathos about this relationship and where it could have been. It's kind of a love story, but just a really gross one. You know, like it's. Do you know what I mean? Like he kind of manages to infuse it with a lot more emotion than I would have anticipated, looking at his catalogue prior to this.
Yeah, well, there was no video cassettes being stuck
in bellies and flesh guns and all this kind of random shit and heads exploding.
Yeah. Look, I wasn't mentally prepared at the time to be watching video.
And of course, I was doing a super bang up job of looking after young chargers.
Yeah, fine selection there.
I actually think the practical effects are still pretty good.
Yeah, I think they hold up mostly. There's a bit of a stretch at the end where it's a bit too much.
Yeah.
I don't mind the fly, the fully formed sort of fly, but there's a bit before that where it starts to look. Yeah, there's a couple of those bits where it looks a bit shaky, but the points where it's just him early transformation, I think it's really effective.
Yeah, they slowly build
especially
on it.
the sequence where she comes in and he's on the roof.
Yeah.
And they shoot it from kind of like point of view and sort of they cut back to a couple of shots of her, but then every time they go back to shots of him, it's like from her point of view. And as he's getting closer and closer, it's fucking creepy. Like when he crawls down the wall and kind of jumps to the floor and starts kind of walking over to her, you're like, ew, just get away.
Yes.
Fucking stay on the roof. For God's sake.
Just a side note, and this is another like for me, but a bit like Eric Roberts from Best of the Best, Goldblum is cracking a kind of a impressive mullet. And so is Geena Davis, mind you.
Yeah, yep.
A good woman's mullet.
Yeah, they went through plenty of cans of hairspray on set, I reckon. There was a lot
definitely. And Goldblum was also wandering around in very high strides too. Perhaps not his best look.
He looks like he could fit in today. Like it's the mullet and the skinny tie. He'd be fine. He'd be fitting right in. It's a timeless look.
I don't know about timeless, but it's certainly coming back. Just a side note too. There's a guy at the start of Code of Silence. Quite frankly, the best mullet I've seen. I mean, the party at the back. It is a rager.
Oh, jeez.
I tell you right now, it's down the middle of his back.
Wowzers.
It's unbelievable.
That makes me want to watch it right now.
Got to.
Yeah.
We mentioned the fact that the film starts really sort of dives straight into it and doesn't waste a lot of time.
Very brisk.
Yes, brisk start. The baboon being turned inside out.
That's
holy
hideous,
shit. God.
That really kind of sold. You want to get this right. Because if you jump in there, you are in some shit.
He puts his head down near the pod window and then some shit just hits it. It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
It made it.
But the fact that it seemed like, you know, when you look at it on the ground, it's still alive.
Yeah.
Like that just sold it an extra, you know, the thing's been fucking turned inside out, but it's still kicking. It's like,
It's not necessarily a horrible dislike, but I was like, where do you get a monkey from?
Well,
and then I was like, where do you get two monkeys?
The guy's fucking running a zoo.
Oh, Peter and the WWF would be fucking up his ass with a fine-tooth comb.
They didn't have any ethics committees back then.
And then
get away with anything.
Where is that first monkey you took?
Send a bloody mouse across first. That's not your mate. He's apologising to the brother later on. Sorry about your brother.
Yeah, start small, Jeff.
I was trying to show off to Geena Davis.
Local pet store, not exotic animal smuggler.
Well, I can tell you right now, mate, Joe Exotic's done some shit things, but he hasn't turned a baboon inside out.
That we know of.
I can guarantee if Joe Exotic was on the other end of the teleporter, the line would have been, I'm never going to financially recover from this.
He would have written a song about it.
Yeah.
Alright, time to start singing about my balls.
I saw a baboon, and it was inside out.
Maybe that's why he's in jail. Had nothing to do with trying to kill Carol Baskin. He just had a fucking baboon.
The untold story.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I had questions on where he was getting his animals.
Yep.
But as you say, Peter would have been asking, now, you had 2 baboons, where's the other one? And he's pushing a bloody bag, a plastic bag, and putting it in the bin or something.
Yeah.
The baboon cat. You got to check that out.
Yeah,
Pretty
have a
funny.
look. I didn't realise that it had survived. I didn't realise you could actually watch
Yeah,
it. So
the guy who's doing the special effects was pretty pissed off because they changed the animal and they had to cut the head off and get a new one on.
Oh, man.
And he was pretty pissed off with it. And you look at it and it looks horrible, but it looks pretty funny though.
Did this win an Oscar for special
Yeah,
effects?
somehow.
Yeah, I believe it did.
Yeah.
And this is part of my dislikes, but it looked a little bit like Thriller at the beginning. And then as they started adding more and more makeup to it, it looked like Meatloaf from I Would Do Anything for Love. The makeup.
Thriller is landmark special effects.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, at the time. But
remember,
he looks
1986.
just like Michael Jackson.
1986, mate. This is groundbreaking stuff. Although I will say this, The Thing is 10 times better, and it was made in 1982.
Yeah.
Correct.
But I felt like Goldblum was the most effective when I think the makeup was the most effective when it was subtle. Like he's got the lesions on his body and that have started popping up and the little bit of hairs coming through. That was the most effective.
Yeah, but it had to progress. I think that the part for me was the part where it was kind of the middle ground, like I said, was when he was crawling.
That was great,
through.
yeah.
I thought that looked good, but the next time you see him, that's where it started
4 months
to
later,
show that's where it started to show
the eardrop
shakiness.
Well, you could tell it was obviously...
No, fucking stop talking about it. I don't want to talk. I don't want to think about his fucking eardrop.
There's a line in there. He's like, he's got this thing sticking out the side of his body. He's like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
And then if you look back at some of the extras, there's an arm that was meant to pop out of there, and he found it disgusting and bit it off himself. Like, they removed that bit because it made him too much of a monster.
Yeah,
it's just what he becomes.
Yeah,
but
it's a fine line.
Really interesting. There's like interesting ideas in there.
Yeah, look, there's a couple of highly amusing dialogue exchanges around the midpoint. Especially when after he has turned the baboon inside out, she says, the world wants to know what you're thinking. And he goes, fuck is what I'm thinking.
Great line.
I watched that knowing that you would love it.
Classic line.
Great line. And then that's followed by where Geena Davis tells her boss, I'm onto something big, huge. And he goes, what, his cock?
Yeah. Real high point there.
Yeah.
He was an awkward character.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Although I did like that, it's a classic little bit of character work. It's not something we haven't seen before, but his personal feelings kind of rushing things along in terms of, how he's putting pressure on sending the magazine cover, like he's going to expose the secret and stuff like that, putting a little bit of pressure, bit of external pressure. I did like that.
Yeah,
I found him to have like a dichotomy that I couldn't explain though. At the beginning, he's just a prick. Like he's like, I don't care what you have to, dismissive.
I'm coming back to that. Don't worry. I've got some issues with that.
Yeah,
big time.
Or maybe we'll talk about it then.
Yeah, I like the way that his presence and his actions started to put a bit of pressure on.
Yeah.
Like, that action causes Geena Davis to go and fucking talk to him, which causes Brundle to get drunk and kind of speed up the process and throw himself in there instead of another baboon. Perhaps Peter had already visited by that point and said, you better not do this to another one.
No, he was on the phone with Joe Exotic and couldn't source a fucking tiger to put in there.
So he jumped in there himself. But yeah, it sort of helped to propel things along in a way that felt natural. Yeah.
And I think that one of my favourite shots in the entire film is when he gets in the pod and they shoot from the outside through the window, and you can see Brundle's face and you can see the fly on the inside of the window. And so
they set that up with the excessive amount of fly noises.
Yeah, but it's just a really
swatting at it. Yeah,
it's a really fantastic shot, just to sort of showcase this is exactly what's going to happen to him.
Yeah,
they're going to get melded together,
and that's what horror is, right? You're like, you know what's going to happen next, and you just like nothing you can do about it. It's such a simple thing that could have been avoided.
And it's not long after that we get the cut. You know, he's got the cut on his back, and next thing you know it's starting to sprout some hairs. And there's a sense of dread with that sequence because, again, like you say, Matty, you know what's going to happen, but it's still kind of like has you sort of going, oh, fuck, dude, just check. There's a fly's right there, mate. Just get it out.
Yeah.
You know? Just put your crackers back on, do a quick sweep.
Yeah, go and get your fucking can of Mortine and have a little spray in there before you jump in.
Yeah.
I like that as well, how he's like the computer, he's like so confused that the computer like assimilated them. He's he's assuming that it's been assimilated, like absorbed into his body and it's going to come out the other end. And then he gets absorbed or whatever, and then he's like, no, we've been formed into one being. That was cool, like to see the computer did something he didn't expect. And because he's so smart, he just rolls with it and he's like, what's the next problem that I need to solve?
And I love that sequence when he actually runs a diagnostic, and it comes up with the word fusion, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that was a really cool way of and simple way without overdoing it with computers and fucking, gobbledygook about how it happened.
Yeah.
It's just basically saying he was fused together with what was in there.
Yeah.
And I think that was a really cool scene. Snapping that bloke's arm off.
Oh yeah.
Fuck.
He loses the plot to get to that point.
Yeah, I know.
He's just trying to pick that chick up in.
Yeah.
Do I look like a hooker to you? Yep, you do.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that are pointing that direction.
Yes.
But that was again solid special effects with the bloody compound fracture or whatever it was there. It was just fucking it was unexpected because I was just assuming he's going to win and then they're going to get in a punch up or something, but then the fucking arm just goes
and he squeezes his hand.
Yeah,
and you see all like the fucking.
There's juice coming
out of it. Oh, look, I'm saying, hang on. This is getting a little bit physical.
Yeah. Had the nail dropped off his hand yet? Not yet.
No, it drops off after that.
Ugh.
And his ear falls off and fuck.
Yeah. I'm calling,
that's a great moment in the movie.
I'm calling time out. Time out, fucking let go of my hand.
Yeah.
Like, what is that shit on your hand?
Yeah.
Get it off.
I'm seating.
I still think
you
that
can have
Stallone's character from Over the Top is beating him, though.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
not even close.
No. Stallone's fucking HGH infused arms. too much for Brundlefly, I'd suggest.
Correct.
Oh, I tell you what the grossest part of the film for me was. When he vomits on the donut to show us how he takes in his food.
Yeah. It comes out of nowhere again because he's just sitting there.
And then it's so human because he's like, "Oh, that's disgusting." He's like,
"Yes,
it's awesome." That's like says so much because he's like been living this life and he doesn't realize that it's gross. Like he's at that point.
Yeah, he's losing the humanity. He's losing himself a little bit. Like, but yeah, I didn't need to fucking say
that was gross.
Yeah,
just give me a couple of sound effects and her face going, "Ew."
Yeah, she's like, "Oh god."
His introduction of Brundlefly as a character, I guess, is so good. That cracked me up.
I wish you'd done that on the first date. I wouldn't have fucking come back here.
Yeah,
he's so optimistic throughout the whole thing.
Had a pedophile in
it.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's gone from because he's fingernails drop off, and then in the next scene when he's working on the computer, he's got gloves on.
Yes.
Yeah.
I noticed that. I thought, oh yeah, he's obviously decided, fuck. My fingers
It's
are
falling apart, but he just has to keep going.
He's decided, I don't even want to see this.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know where it's going. I think he just is a constant optimist. It's going to figure itself out, and he's like, maybe this is just what was meant to happen. This is the perfect experiment.
Yeah, so
Such a strange cut.
at which point does the optimism fade? Is it when his second ear falls off, or is it when he's fucking, I don't know,
He doesn't even care about it. He's collecting them and
He's
putting them in the cupboard in the vanity.
What does he call it? The Museum of Rumble or something. Jesus, stop it.
It's so quirky.
Yeah, look, I think if I'm Geena Davis, I'm taking my toothbrush and shit and going home.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not staying here anymore, mate.
If it's a stray toenail that's found its way into the medicine cabinet, I can live with that. But I mean, when it's your ears and your fingers.
Yeah, I think the relationship is failing.
When he looks
some cracks.
when he's better looking as the Elephant Man version of himself than it's some weird stuff going on.
Another favourite line of mine, Stathis says, I'm sure Typhoid Mary was an extremely nice person when you saw her socially.
Yeah, that was a good line. Loved that one.
He then shows what a scumbag he is by going, do I have permission to clean your body when this is over?
Yeah. I think he was making a point, though.
Scumbag.
Yeah.
I don't think he was being a scumbag. He was being protective in that one.
Yeah, but it's still a scummy comment to show you being protective.
The problem with him is
kind of like,
I think you're probably right, Matty. It was probably used for both purposes.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of, and as we said before, I got a sense that relationship was toxic as well. And I think he was kind of sleazy. And they kind of painted him as sleazy early on.
Yeah.
With a few things he did. So I think that the comment kind of has a double meaning somewhat.
Yeah.
Because I think they were still trying to show that he was sleazy.
Yeah.
Even in a situation like this where she's saying there's something wrong with him. Like badly wrong with him.
These guys work for Particle Magazine. They've probably never seen anything like this in their life. And they would have seen all of the scientific things that happen.
I tell you right now, mate.
You better be supportive or you're out the door. Like
sleazy is not the sort of style that comes to mind once I've seen that video. I'm going, holy shit, have a look at this fucking guy.
The science is very important. I'm not trying to diminish that, but is Particle Magazine occupying an office of that kind of size and space? I'm not sure it's moving that many units.
It's a niche market, I'd say. Particle Magazine.
Don't you have your subscription to Particle Magazine?
Yeah, Particle's not exactly Playboy, I don't think.
I forgot to Google if it actually exists, so I was going to do that.
Yeah. I don't think there's going to be any bloody centerfolds of Brundlefly in there anytime soon. There.
Initially, I wasn't.
They'd sell 100 magazines with him on the cover.
Oh fuck. Yeah, but they'd have to change their name to National Enquirer.
Yeah. We found Bat Boy and Brundlefly in the same.
Yeah, we found Flyboy. Shit. It says we found Flyboy, and then below it, we actually did. We legitimately did. We're not making it up. I thought the idea of her being pregnant with his baby, and then the nightmare that she has, which is fucking gross.
Maggot.
Yep.
I was expecting 1,000 little maggots to come out of that.
Yeah, not one giant.
God.
It was pretty gross.
Yeah, and I believe that's David Cronenberg.
Yeah, it is.
The maggot?
No,
no, that's Greg Norman's old fella.
Yeah, it's a replica.
Flaccid.
It's a Greg Norman replica knob that they use. No, it's Cronenberg as the doctor.
Yeah.
That delivers the maggot. I mean, I think Cronenberg had been called a maggot by some critics. Oh yeah, that nightmare sequence was fucking disgusting. Like, honestly, I was like, I almost had a yak. And look, I actually liked the finale. I thought the finale worked when they get into his, where he lives there, and he's putting her in the pod, and the other bloke turns up with a shotgun and everything. I thought some of that stuff worked out really nicely.
Yeah, those last few minutes were...
When he vomits on his hand and his fucking foot.
That was gross.
I was like, make it stop.
Yeah,
I was like,
tap
that's
out. I'll tap it out while I'm watching it. Just stop.
That's collateral damage. He was a bit of a jerk, so I didn't mind too much when he lost his hand and his foot.
Yeah. Take a bloody quickies or something.
Oh, God. Oh. But I think I kind of, again, I like the fact that even though the relationship between her and her boss was, I felt, toxic, he kind of becomes almost heroic at the end, which I thought was an interesting dynamic and an interesting thing to do. Because in a lot of movies, he would be fodder. You know, you would have had him killed by Seth.
Yeah, I think that showed her humanity as well. She was like, in terms of their relationship, or his humanity at that point. Yeah. She's like, wait, Seth, no. Like, she's still seeing him as the person.
Yeah.
Even though he's mutated. And she still has enough pull to get him to stop what he's doing. And that's the part of the romance. Even though he's completely changed from where they were at, he's still got a part of him that's listening to her. It's like...
Yeah. And I just thought that shot where she puts the gun to his head, she's holding the gun and he takes the barrel and puts it to his head. I mean, that was sad.
He morphed with a computer. Like,
true. He had become, something else entirely because he'd morphed with the actual telepod. But I found that really kind of emotional.
Yeah,
they managed to get that emotion out of you in such a, this has trappings of B movie written all over it. But to get you to feel that emotion about and feel sad for his death is a very hard thing to do in a film like this.
Yeah,
especially after the section in the middle, it could have gone as you sort of mention, Adam, if it's B movie, then it goes full-blown villain. He goes full-blown villain and doesn't really get those moments, but it's a little bit better than that. Cronenberg's got a bit more... He's got more sense than that.
Goldblum puts in some effort there.
Has he got more sense than that?
Yeah, well, if you're talking a 15-year-old me or whoever, however old it was.
He's got no sense, according to you.
Yeah. Videodrome, after the Videodrome viewing, I was like, who the fuck is this bloke? I don't want to know any more about him.
There must have been 100 times during the filming of this where Goldblum's just gone, what the hell is going on? But I need to be professional.
Yeah. And again, there's those sequences that you pointed out, and this is kind of backtracking a little bit. Jared, you pointed out, Maddie, you pointed out the fact that he loses his rag, and then he does something angry, but then he turns to her and he kind of almost charms her back into... And this is when he hasn't fully changed. Like that sequence where she says, "You're sick," and he says, "Do I look like I'm sick?" And he starts punching the fucking...
Yeah.
He's just punching the shit out of that bloody pillar, and he's just breaking it up. And there's all that anger in it, and then he kind of turns to her after that, and he kind of softens again. And those things, I think, are part of what makes this film successful.
Yeah. Is
that you cared about this guy. And you shouldn't, really.
Yeah.
So
Geena Davis, I think, in the second half of it does a stellar job, like 10 out of 10 But the first half, it feels a bit forced and a little bit awkward. But she acts her heart out in that second half.
Yeah. She's very important. She's very.
I love what she does. Yeah.
Goldblum's kind of the man in the first half,
and
I think that again, that's another reason why the film works, is because both performances are really good.
Her trying to hold it together when she sees him in the apartment, and then absolutely losing her shit as soon as she's outside the apartment, talking about the abortion, is perfect. It's so good.
That was it for me.
Yep,
for
me
likes.
too. Me too. Funny that you mistook Goldberg and Goldblum there, Matt.
Yeah.
You're not the first one to do that. His wife did it too, as we mentioned.
That's right. Shit. Goldberg's wife. That's right. Oh, God.
Yeah, I didn't have much more than that. I kind of liked... I found it crazy just watching the Brundle's descent. Like, his teeth start falling out, and he's talking about how it's evolution and
yeah.
I thought it was really cool.
It was good that they gave him. There was a couple of times when he's just sort of talking to himself.
Yeah.
And they'd established that was kind of normal.
Yeah.
That was the sort of guy he was, so it didn't seem unnatural. It didn't seem like, you're looking at it going, show, don't tell.
Yeah.
That was... No, they've established that's who he is. So him chatting to himself through the process was kind of normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And just simple things like the voice activation didn't work on the computer anymore, and he was shocked by it. But he's got all these things that are falling apart around him.
Yeah.
It just was so powerful. Yeah, it's like I found that like really powerful in terms of like explaining. So much could be explained. Why didn't he bother to go and collaborate with somebody else? Why isn't he trying to get extra help outside of his apartment? But he just trusts himself and isn't that fazed by the process. He thinks it's actually a good thing at the beginning and just can't see where it's going to. And that optimism, I guess, adds a bit of credibility to where it ends up.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that.
Yeah, agreed. All right, dislikes. I said this at the start. I actually felt the film could have used a little extra time to perhaps build that relationship where they kind of become a couple. There's only a few fleeting scenes where they're kind of outside of the apartment and where he buys the necklace for her and all that. But other than that, it doesn't go, to me, fully embrace that.
Yeah, and it felt like, so for me, from that perspective, it didn't feel like a lot of time was passing.
Yeah.
So it felt like, it is super quick in that regard. Even just showing something of time's passed. It's been weeks or months or whatever it is. They don't really, you don't get the sense of that. There's parts of it where you feel like it's happened overnight.
Yeah. She hasn't moved her stuff into his apartment. You could have achieved
just
that.
some little things like that probably would have helped to strengthen it even further.
Yeah. I mean, look, they do a great job with what they deliver, but I just felt another 10, 15 minutes wouldn't have hurt. Because it's not what I would call a super sort of fast-paced film. Like, it's not an action film. It's not built on set pieces. It's built on characters.
No,
and then,
it gets moving pretty quickly, but then the rest of the film, they do spend that time with the characters. So,
and it never feels boring or slow. So to me, you add that little extra, you still would have got away with it.
Yeah. Not to mention, let's face it, the second she arrives at the front of his fucking hovel, she is saying, I'll be there in a second. And, as soon as he steps out of the car, click and fucking take it off. She's not going in that fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're looking at that going, this guy's going to kill me when I get in there.
Yeah, exactly.
She wants that story. She wants
really
that story.
I got my limits. I couldn't be a journalist because I'd be looking at that saying, I'm not going in.
That's a risk. Yeah,
thanks, fucking Ted Bundy.
I liked how indignant she was when he was like, that's not on the record. She's like, that is on the record. I'm taking that.
Yep.
That cracked me up.
I'll tell you what, mate. I had a problem with this in Top Gun. and I've got a real problem with it here.
Mm.
Don't fucking rock up to someone's apartment and have a shower, you scumbag.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And then your
that's right.
response is, I was in the neighbourhood and felt a bit scummy. You are fucking scummy.
Yeah,
You
he's a
shouldn't be
he's a
in there.
Dummy, all right. Yeah. You can keep showering, mate. That scum's not going to wash off.
Stay
He
there
was a
fucking
complete
month,
dirtbag.
you scumbag.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's glad she
classic.
flushed him.
It's classic 80s courting, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
it's just that character is product of the time, you know.
Yeah.
She
I
says
do like,
no.
I had to laugh.
She
at the
says
flush
no,
the can.
so I'll just ignore that and continue on. Like,
Yeah.
mate, she said no many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. No
Crossing the
means
boundary there.
possibly. These guys
Yeah.
seem to be. Secondly, I did laugh when she flushed the toilet
Yeah, that was great.
just to fuck him over. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
And again, I understood why it was there. It was again part of that toxic relationship that he just refused to accept that it was over, and he kind of was too familiar with her.
Yeah. But see, getting into this, and you know, Maddie, you started to get into this. I just felt he was too. I know we spoke about how showing a bit of humanity towards him even shows Geena Davis's character,
Yeah.
but I just felt he was so like that move is so scummy and such a toxic relationship or whatever.
Yeah.
Surely she's not. You can't buy him coming back in and saying, "Well, you know, I'll be the one to come in here and fucking."
And help.
You can buy him going in to say, "Right, here's my chance to step in," but do you really buy him as doing the
work.
doing the right thing and doing the work without what he sees as the reward at the end of it?
Yeah.
What he's been fucking chasing her for the whole time.
He goes, there's a point where he's telling her, you need to get away from this guy, and as far away from as you can, and then she's like, I can't do that. And he's like, well, you at least need to film it.
Yeah.
He doesn't. There's so many points in the thing where he's just like, that guy's a dirtbag.
It's exactly so. It's hard to see him going, "Oh well, you know,
Well,
I've just
put
got to
it
do
this
the
way,
right thing
Jared.
now."
Put it this way. I do not expect that character to basically become a peg leg and wipe his ass with a hook for the rest of his life and give all that up.
Yeah, to
You know,
save somebody else.
somebody that he really, the way I saw it was he was interested in her sexually. That was it.
Yeah,
He wasn't
it's
interested
kind
in
of-
anything else.
it's kind of troublesome to me to think that, you know, if you leave this film where it is, that he's possibly the one that she's going to be shacking up with afterwards. Like, it's
Yeah.
really troublesome to think about that, the way that he's acted.
Exactly.
You know, as you said, the insinuations that it's a pretty poor relationship there.
yeah.
But I guess was there perhaps some subtext in that the idea that she had come out of one toxic relationship and pretty much gone into another one?
Yeah, I
That
thought that too.
Her and Brundle, the relationship was doomed. There was a toxicity to that. She couldn't let it go, even though he was turning into a fucking monster.
Well, that was
You
the
know?
tragedy, right?
That's
That she'd finally found a nice guy, and it only
Yeah.
fell apart because he turned into a fly monster.
But again, you know, is that some subtext there? I don't know. But I agree with you, Jared. I just felt his motivations didn't fit what he ends up
No.
doing at the end. Even though I like the fact that they kind of did a double take on that.
Yeah, well, I see the positives in it, as Maddie mentioned, that it serves her character really well. But it just felt a little bit off.
Yeah. And also, don't break into people's houses to have showers.
Yeah,
That's not on,
fucking stop it.
motherfucker. I'm telling you
Don't.
right now. That's not on. That's how you get your head punched in.
Yeah. You're lucky he wasn't on the crapper, because if he'd done that, he'd be busted into my house and took
Oh,
a
yeah.
dump in my toilet.
Oh, mate, if you have damaged my fucking Dalton, if there is a smell when you come out, you're getting dropped. I can make my place smell as bad as I like, but not you. It's not a free-for-all. I can tell you right now, I do not want the smell of a work toilet in my home.
Yeah, and God forbid you fucking done a gargoyle on there. I mean, that's the case. We're in all sorts of trouble. Oh, dear.
Oh, shit.
Another part that I really couldn't understand was the girl going home with him from the bar.
Oh, yeah. He just broke the bloke's
Yeah, and prior to that, she hadn't even feigned interest in the bloke.
Yeah.
So we are led to believe that the only thing she sees value in is
arm wrestling ability.
arm wrestling. The big beefy blokes kind of, it was so stupid.
Because he treats her horribly.
He does, and he from the get go. It's you can tell he's starting to get those kind of. He's acting, as you said, Adam. He's talking 100 miles an hour, and he's really
erratic,
skittish and started to. So she sees him, and you can see her looking at him, kind of going, what's going on? And then that happens, and he just grabs her by the hand and walks out, and then she's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, with the explanation being, I won you in an arm wrestle.
Yeah, really
very
silly.
Poor. Very poor.
Really silly. For a movie that, as we said, has a bit of nuance to how it handles relationships.
Yeah.
That was pretty ordinary.
Yeah. And I actually don't think you needed that. The only idea behind her being there was obviously that he was going to try and force her into the machine.
Yeah, and it's a pretty deep sort of, it's edging towards this point of no return that they try to keep him from getting to.
But I don't know whether you needed it, because he'd already tried that on with Geena Davis and failed. And to me, if you wanted the arm wrestling scene, it could have just been to show that he was now super strong.
Yeah, I guess the other girl is kind of starting to show again. It's making the issues in their relationship pretty up front.
Yeah,
but I just thought the way that it all went down was
very
silly.
Quick too.
Like I can get the kind of show of strength because we're looking to see the changes physically, but again, you did that with the gymnastics, didn't you?
Yeah.
He comes out and cracks out a fucking Olympic gymnastics routine in his lounge room.
And he's voraciously had sex for 4 hours or something.
His fucking dick looks like a bloody... It looks like it's been fucking set on fire. Because he's been using...
I don't know how his ear's falling off and his dick doesn't.
It probably did.
Know. Did you pause it when he looked into the medicine cabinet? It might have been on the top
part of the museum.
Bloody fly cock and fly balls in there.
Redundant. Evolution.
No, but we'd already seen the feats of strength. In a way, it's kind of not really that necessary because it doesn't play into that much either, because she goes to leave and he says, be afraid, be very afraid.
Yeah.
And then she leaves. So it doesn't really hurt the relationship because Geena Davis by that stage already realises he's starting to have problems. So it's an interesting scene, whether or not it has a lot of merit, but it's just poorly played as to how... I mean, fuck, you looking at the way the woman is treated in it, it's not good at all.
And even just thinking, I mean, she might have gone, shit, your arm, to the bloke that she was supposedly with. Maybe hung around to help, but she just fucking takes off on him too. Like,
yeah, I didn't really get it.
No. Instead of little children, I should have been going around breaking people's arms.
Yeah,
that would have been a much
better first date. Just challenging people to arm wrestles randomly.
Arm wrestle? Get the leg over. That's how it works.
Oh, God. Question for you guys. How did he get that massive piece of computer stuck to his back?
In the...
Yeah,
which
creates the cut that's...
Oh, yeah. And
he goes, oh, how did that
He didn't even
get
notice it.
Yeah.
And she goes, give us a look.
Couch. It was on his couch/bed, wasn't it?
But fuck, it's huge. You should have known you were laying on it.
Yeah.
Come on. Jeez.
Too busy bulking up.
Yeah, because it's jammed right in there, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
So how many days have you been walking around with that stuck on you?
That was a bit odd.
Yeah, that was a bit silly, wasn't it?
What else did I have? See, I didn't have much else other than the fact that I know that sort of Veronica loves the bloke. But for Christ's sake, when I see him and he looks like that, I'm just going, fucking hell, this is over.
Yeah.
No
when
chance.
he walks out to visit you and you see, you know, his dick and balls fucking fall out the leg of his pants, it's probably over. I reckon that would have been a good scene if she kind of walks in and you just see a testicle kind of roll towards her. Oh, that's where we've got
Here's the thud of flesh on wood as his cock drops off.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I wanted her to kind of walk in and go, oh, yeah, I didn't realise it was quite this bad. But you are fucked, aren't you?
Side note, if that was Greg Norman's cock, I would have put a hole in the cock.
Through the third, second and first floors of the apartment.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, mate, these Greg Normus jokes are never going to get out.
God. Let's face it, though, he's going to fuel the flames, I reckon. He'll be on Instagram. Create a bit of buzz around his knob.
Yeah, well, he's already, you know, he's moved after the little bit of buzz he got early on. It was, you know, he's showing us bare ass now, so it's only a matter of time. Next thing you know, Greg will be on OnlyFans charging.
We'll make $1 million in 6 hours.
Good God. Thanks not to signing up to that, though.
Yeah, well, you got to put it on your TV screen because it won't fit on your computer.
If those pictures are leaking, it'll be a worry. I mean, leaked.
Yeah, like if I'm Veronica, I mean, the guy is fucking hideous. The man's a goblin.
Yeah. 2 weeks, he nothing but a shrunken head. Honestly, I'm too superficial. I walk in the door and I go, oh shit, we're done. I'm not coming back. I can't look at you.
I've got enough for my reporting piece, so see you later.
Yeah. I think we're enough for a story. Yeah.
Yeah.
The book's done.
It was going to be a 3-page piece, but I think we will just squeeze it onto the back.
Yeah, 1.5 will do. They gave me 1,000 words, but I think 500's got to go. Oh, shit. Look, that was it for me. What about you, folks?
No, that was mainly it. Just those couple of things that, you know, the forming of the relationships with a couple of those people, and mainly Mr.
I hated this shift to him jumping through the window at the abortion clinic to grab her.
That was an interesting decision because it kind of took him out of the place we spent most of our time with him.
Yeah, he hasn't left in 4 months. He hasn't got at that point. He hasn't got the confidence to leave the apartment.
Mm.
And he's found out this bit of news.
Flying, is he?
He's not, is he?
Well, your self-esteem takes a little bit of a hit when your knob falls off.
Lost a butt cheek somewhere.
Not if you're Greg Norman and it fucking
I hated that. I thought that part of the movie, it didn't fit in with the rest of the stuff that had gone on. And then there was a descent. And then even the concept that I didn't see him really being into that idea of the 3-way fusion between him, his baby, and his kid. I thought that was a stupid choice as well. I didn't like it. But that was why he was trying to... If he was trying to get her into fly form or something like that...
Well...
As well?
I mean, I think you could see that coming. And it was expected because, you know, she was pregnant and he...
After you've seen him just go, well, fuck you, get out of my life, you're a waste of time and you're boring, he, like, fucks her off pretty quickly and then he's like, no, actually, I'm going to meld myself to you forever. Like, it's... But I thought that was a horrible choice, and that really lost me a little bit at the end. I was disappointed.
Yeah, because you'd already sort of moved on from that, right?
Yeah,
like, I know he showed a bit of.
I know the baby got him back in, but
yeah,
I think the logical way, semi-logical way he'd been progressing, or the way his character was working, he'd be like, go out, have this child, and spread my genetics. Like, that would be the best. He'd be like trying to give her stuff to help support her, as opposed to, I'm going to abduct you and fuse myself to you.
Yeah,
because that has no future. It has no
sense.
future. There's no future in it.
And I'm actually surprised.
It's completely illogical.
I'm actually surprised he didn't put a gun to his head and commit suicide. You know, like that. He told her to leave. You know, I might hurt you.
Yeah.
This is over. You know, I mean, I'm thinking the guy looks like fucking shit. I'm expecting you to blow his head off.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't quite make sense. I got where they were going with it, but it didn't quite make sense. And also, did he fly to break into that abortion
No, I don't
clinic?
know how he's... Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. He knew which room to go through. It was an external room. And,
I mean, he certainly wasn't walking down
and she was
the street.
alone in the room at the time, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that makes no sense.
Yeah, it just sort of felt very convenient.
And it felt like Phantom of the Opera or something. Like, it was just stupid.
That's fair.
I'm going to abduct you. Call. Yeah. And it's just I know what the point is, to get everyone back into the apartment so that they can get this gun scene going.
I can vomit on you.
Yeah. Yeah, but couldn't they have just held off a little bit, and perhaps she goes back to the apartment to tell him that she's pregnant or something?
Yeah.
And Stanthus turns up with the gun, you know, because he wants to protect her.
Or
there would have been other.
He's already acknowledged. He's already acknowledged that he wants her to go back and tape what's going on. This is the last hurrah. How about she calls him from the apartment and says, "I'm in trouble here. Can you help me out?"
Yeah.
Like, or does a fake call. If I'm in trouble, I'm going to do this. Then you need to come and help me out. And he can be waiting nearby, you know? Like,
yeah,
that's a much more plausible. Yeah, or he's made some sort of plea, come so that you can see where we're at. We can wrap up this doco. I really want to apologise. And I found out you're having my baby. Or, like, that could have been a really easy way to pull at her heartstrings, use the relationship to get her back into the apartment without the ridiculousness of the... I heard you from the top of the building and now I'm going to follow you and chase you and abduct you. Security. Surely they've got some security. I don't know. Yeah. I feel like there would have been some external influence in this guy's life as well. You don't turn yourself into a human-fly hybrid without there being some sort of interest from the authorities, right? But, yeah,
they were too busy chasing.
I thought about it a bit too much afterwards.
They were chasing Joe Exotic, mate. They weren't interested in this guy. He was small time.
Yeah,
he was only stealing baboons.
Yeah, he only had a couple. It's his small time operation compared to the Joe Exotics and the Doc Antles of the world.
All right, is that everything?
Yeah, that was everything I had.
Yeah, I don't know how he got donuts into the apartment. They didn't have Uber Eats back then. That was my other query.
No, I didn't even think.
How did he get food to vomit on?
Good point.
I don't know. Maybe he already had it. Although that would have been stale.
Yeah, she had. Yeah, well, that's right. It would have had to have been a while before that. But I guess
again,
flies don't care.
He was a fly.
Yeah.
He didn't
the other one,
he was stale.
The other little part that got to me was I've tried to get in contact with you. He's been in one place. He didn't try that hard. He knocked on the door. He was pretty willing to have her come into the apartment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, these were little things. It was a good movie. I did really like it.
Not as much as Snake Eyes, though. Just pointing it out. All right, that was The Fly. You can find us on Podomatic, iTunes and Spotify. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia and Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com. We're also on Instagram at thrillmepodcast. Our next episode, I mentioned it earlier on, but we're going with some Chuck Norris again. Code of Silence, which I believe is his best film, according to the critics. This will be an interesting one to cover, I feel. It won't just be a shit show, I don't think.
Wow.
I don't think it's a canon picture either.
Chuck's best film. It's a pretty look.
It's a low bar.
It's not the top leagues. It's kind of second or third division at best. Even
you think he's playing in the minors?
He's playing in the minors for sure.
Yeah, look, it's not a canon film though, and that's important. I think for Chuck.
Sometimes is if it's a canon picture, sometimes that's a good thing because you get lots of laughs out of there.
True. It'll be an interesting one to cover. But until then, take it easy, and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.